I do believe that one of the major pressures and sources of change to the Christian movement or Christianity in general, American Christianity over the next 20 years is going to be the reintroduction of legal psychedelics into society.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And I don't think anyone's ready for it. Like if you ask Christian pastors what they're most concerned about now, what's putting the most pressure on the church, they would say like the culture war, materialism, consumerism, and nobody's really thinking about psychedelics. And that's sort of by like the nature of who is Christian right now. Remember my theory of bio-Christianity, that like all the open-minded people have left the church mostly. So what remains is more by nature closed-minded people. And so like their response, I think, to the rise of neo-psychedelia has been to ignore it and hope it goes away. And it's not going away.
Definitely not. But I think psychedelics are super pro-Christianity. I think a lot of America is going to get on psychedelics and they're going to become more Christian.
I think that's a possibility. So I think what psychedelics do, and I could rant on that for a while, but I mean, they certainly reattach people to their sense of the spiritual, and a desire for like in-person connection and community. And I think that can be filled by religion. I think most American Christianity, though, like completely lacks any mystical side, and that's a hallmark, especially of evangelical Protestantism, which is sort of this flat, boring religion that's about a book. Like if your religion is about like a book that's like hard to read, like I don't think that appeals to like people that are being inspired by psychedelics. Now, at the core, there is a Christian mystical tradition that, especially in Protestant, in Catholicism and Orthodoxy, I think it's worn a little bit more on the sleeve of Orthodoxy. So I would encourage like my bishops to sort of get in front of that and be able to like communicate to people coming from a psychedelic world. But the other, I think, branch of Christianity, and where most of the energy is going to go, unfortunately, I think this is not the proper place for it to go, is going to be into like more sort of charismatic Pentecostalism, and probably new kinds of Protestantism that are formed around, like it's sort of a bastardized version of like hippie psychedelic Hindu-ish culture, like bastardized into Christianity.
I completely agree. It's already happening. I think you're going to see charismatic kind of pseudo-Christian preacher types on like Instagram blow up, and they're going to be hip and kind of youngish and attractive, and they're going to have their own little churches more and more. And I think this is very satanic and really should be stopped immediately with the full force of all possible social technologies.
Well, I think like I have a lot to say on the topic of psychedelics and like how to use them towards the good and where they go wrong. But one place that I think psychedelic use goes wrong is where people start making like ontological extrapolations from their psychedelic experience. They try to say like the world is this way because I felt this way when I was on mushrooms. And I mean, the mystical visions have been a basis for theological musings for a long time. But I think what's great about Christianity is that sort of the fundamental ontology of Christianity makes sense when you're sober, and when you're having ecstatic mystical experiences and everywhere in between. So it's because and I think that's true of other like mainstream religions as well. Whereas I think psychedelics, they tend to, when people are a part of a psychedelic culture, and that forms the bedrock of their spirituality, and they don't have anything else informing it, I think they tend to lean into somewhat nihilistic and somewhat simplistic sort of moralities and worldviews.
I think this is a fire topic. I think this should just be its own podcast.
Okay.
Because we could easily talk about this for another hour, and we should soon. So also, before you forget, go and subscribe